Good evening and welcome to Optimize Her², the podcast on YouTube. We're so excited here to have a special guest with us. As always, Barbara E. Ringrose. I'm the founder of Wow Women Optimizing Women. You can find me at wowwomenus.com. Also, co-creator along with LaQuincia Nichols. She's the founder of her own business, experience-coaching.com. And together we have created this amazing space where we bring women together, and we have a variety of different speakers who come and join us. And they talk about amazing things, authentic conversations to educate, elevate, and empower you ladies out there. Also, you gentlemen. I understand we have quite a few gentlemen that join us as well. So this episode, we have our guest, Desi Bolin, and Desi brings back so much knowledge. She is a technology guru, something I can only dream about, right? And we're going to talk about the cost of carrying everything, redefining strength. What is that? Leadership and support for high achieving women. This seems to be a focal point these days. And as we go forward, I'm going to reintroduce you to my co-creator and friend, LaQuincia Nichols. Hey, Quincy, how are you?
I'm doing great, Barb. It is a wonderful day out here in Arizona. I'm really excited for this conversation with Desi today because I think we all have a soft spot as being high achieving women, whether that was in our corporate career or us as professional women, but even, high achieving expectations for the families in the friend groups that we lead. So I think this conversation will be right on point for our audience today. Desi, are you ready to be introduced to our audience?
Well, I so very much am, and I am so thrilled to be here with you ladies.
Excellent.
Thank you, my
excellent.
dear.
Mhm.
We're excited too.
Yes. So our guest today, Desi Bolin, is the founder and CEO of Virtually Sourced and the creator of the Catalyst Framework. And I am super excited to learn more about that. Her mission is to help mission-driven entrepreneurs move from being exhausted, overextended operators into aligned, confident leaders with businesses that actually support their lives. So in today's episode, we are going to have a dynamic conversation about the hidden cost of carrying everything, why so many capable women become the one for everyone else, and how to lead with clarity, structure, and support without burnout. Desi, welcome to Optimize Her².
Thank you very much. That was
Welcome,
beautifully
Desi.
done.
Excellent.
Thank you.
So
Thank
Desi,
you.
you're welcome. Let me ask you. So when you think about your work, and it speaks to the women who are doing a lot, often behind the scenes, what first made you passionate about helping women who feel like they're carrying everything? What's the background? How'd you get here?
Such a great question. I got into the entrepreneurial journey because I wanted to be here to support my kids, right? I started the company when my daughter was 5 months old. I didn't want to be the mom who was gone 12 hours a day. And through my work, I've seen firsthand how many brilliant, capable women quietly carry more than anyone around them realizes. They're dependable, they're responsible, they're deeply committed to the people and work they care about. And because they can hold everything together, they often feel like they should. And over time, that level of responsibility becomes super exhausting, right? What inspires me most is watching that shift happen. When women realize they don't have to carry it all alone, when they can gain the clarity, support, and alignment they need, so their leadership expands in a completely different way, one that feels so powerful instead of heavy.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
We always feel like we're the one that has to show up all the time, and the one who's got to handle everything all the time, and the one who has to carry it all, the one who coordinates everything. What is that 360 thing always going on in our minds, Desi?
Oh my gosh, yes. I think it points to the human condition. Oftentimes you'll hear, we're women, we can do everything, we can do anything. Right? And I think silently, people need that support and that permission to look inside themselves and figure out, no, I don't need to carry everything. There's people around me who I love and trust and who will support me in the way that I need. And I think it's something that's not talked about enough.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No. There's always just stuff going on, and all we need is like one of the kids to get sick. Our parents, as you go through the lifespan, and this can even happen to younger people. Our parents may need us from time to time, and then we feel that burden even more.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
It makes me think about just recently here over this weekend was with a group of women. We were at a birthday party for like a children's birthday party, and I asked one of the gals I hadn't seen in several months. And I said, just, hey, how are you doing? And she kind of gave me that canned, I'm fine. And I put myself on a mission to ask one more question when I get the I'm fine, because I always gave the I'm fine when I was not fine, right? And sometimes you're really just wishing someone would really just leave or open a space for you to say it's okay that I'm not okay. I'm struggling through some things. Some things are challenging right now. But sometimes it can feel so heavy even to just be like, girl, you know what? It's not all good right now. How are you seeing women have to really come into the realization that they're carrying everything? I think sometimes we don't even realize it.
Right. One of the biggest signs is constant mental load, right? You're always thinking about what needs to happen next, what might go wrong, what you forgot. And I think on top of that too, I think that women often feel like when they ask for help, they feel like they're failing.
Oh, yeah.
Even when you're
We both got a resounding, oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. Even when you're resting, though, your mind is still managing things. Another sign I see is feeling like things would fall apart if you stepped away. When everything depends on you, even success can feel heavy instead of energizing. And often women, in my experience, start losing touch with their creativity and vision because they're stuck in that constant execution.
Wow.
You're not the only one. We've recently had a conversation about this. It's interesting how this is like the tone of the day.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
It truly is like a through line, right? And I think you can hear it also too if you spend any time in sort of, entrepreneurial groups that are, catered towards women, or women's groups that alone, like, we're all trying to figure it out and almost performing for each other, right? While all knowing that we are that little duck to where, on top of water, it may look great, but under the water, I'm trying to figure it out still. Exactly. And I think I'm loving that we're just opening the conversation to be able to say, I do need support, right? And it's okay for me to need that.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it points back to giving yourself permission and making it okay for you to ask for what you need. Yeah. And it's something that not a lot of women do.
No, because help, the only time I feel like you should be asking her for help is when you're in dire straits.
Right.
And then you get to the dire straits because you didn't ask for help earlier. So,
yeah. And I can tell you, I think to that point, Barbara gifted me a wonderful book called Who Not How. Right. And one of the early principles that was shared in the book is how, as a society, as humans, we are communal. We like community, right? Then you go to school and you're taught not to do a group project or to collaborate, right? You got to do everything your own. You have to take the test by yourself. You have to do everything independently. And you carry those same skills into the work environment, college, whatever that may be. So it really is, we're being conditioned to go against kind of who we are as people. And I honestly, separately, I also think that because more men play team sports, I think they sometimes are also better collaborators and understand helping each other sometimes, right? And showing up for each other. And as women, we think we have to do it all independently.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of people too create, especially through schools, they create this air of competition.
Yes.
And I think one of the critical mindset shifts that not a lot of people carry is the fact that there is no competition, right? There is only one you, and only you can do what you were put here to do. And I think leaning into a community, absolutely, we are social animals. Leaning into a community with the mindset of there is no competition is going to take you further and faster than anything else.
Yeah.
Well, the expectations, I think, are in our head because we build those mindsets. And now we have to kind of twist that around, basically, what you just said. We have to flip those expectations around in our head. So for ladies listening here, when we were talking earlier, you were assisting another woman I recently met. And how do you help them? What are your best practices that you use to help them kind of rate themselves in their thinking?
Right. So, Quincy, you mentioned at the beginning the Catalyst framework, and I am the creator of that. And what that is it's really a transformational model that guides leaders from confusion and constraint into clarity, structure, and soul-aligned growth. And we do that by looking at energetic archetypes. For instance, I'm dragon, unicorn, and mermaid. We have a lot of fun with the archetypes. But once you understand the archetypes that you're leading from, you can look at the light and shadow elements of your primary and your secondary and determine how best to operate in harmony internally before exuding that out into your life and your business. And what I have found is it allows you to achieve a lot more momentum faster because you're operating and you're creating from this aligned space. That's
So
one
the
of the
support
primary
system,
tools that we use.
the support system is important.
Yes.
That
Yes,
community, your
absolutely.
posse, I call it. Some people
Yeah,
call it the tribe.
the
I like to
tribe.
call it my posse. I'm not going
Me
to tell
too.
you how I named that posse, but it's kind of a little over the top here for the
But
Yeah,
I think that's
I
important,
think
right?
yeah, absolutely. I think it's so important. And oftentimes, you're right. It is just the creation and the holding of that space for them to be able to share what's going on for them, right?
Mhm.
Oftentimes, that alone will create the transformational shift that they need to move forward, right? Often, in the Catalyst framework, I have 4 different phases. Phase 1 is clarity, which is the awakening. It's the awakening of your internal self to its highest activation. Phase 2 is structure, which is more the stabilization. So it's building a stabilized foundation and framework
100%.
that free and not bind, right?
Mhm.
Phase 3 is soul, which is truly the alignment. And that's the integration of the inner work that sustains the outer success. And then the phase 4 is growth, which is the true embodiment, right? It's leading from sovereignty and expanding that impact.
I love
You
that
know, when you
idea.
talk like this, it sounds so crystal. It sounds so clear that you mentioned clarity. The
Yeah.
clarity is there, but when we're in the weeds, it's not so clear, is it?
No, it's not. And often as women, as entrepreneurs, as business owners, as professional women, even in the corporate space, you often have blinders and or tunnel vision um about the things about yourself. So it's oftentimes they just need a space to talk and have those realizations. Yet oftentimes those spaces are very hard to find because there's not enough of them out there.
And with positivity, that have that flow, that thread of positivity.
Mhm.
It's easy to go into a witch session with anybody.
Right.
You can go down that. And I remember a mortgage, especially with the regulations constantly changing, the government changes. And
Mhm.
meanwhile, it was not helping people get into a home. It was hindering them and creating a lot of
Friction.
challenges along the way. Quiet signs, like blood pressure or high blood pressure is a something that's the silent killer. What are
Mm.
the quiet signs that could be the silent killer in a woman that she may be carrying that extra load and maybe she doesn't even realize? Do you ever see anything like that, Desi?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I do. The quiet signs. You're the one remembering everything. You're the one fixing everything. You're the one managing everything. And eventually, what that will do is it'll create a kind of invisible pressure where your life and your business only function because you are constantly holding it together, right? And that's the real cost. It's not just the exhaustion, and it's the feeling that everything depends on you. That is usually the biggest silent sign. Take stock of it. Make a list of everything that you carry every day. Kind of like in business, when you create a list of things that you want to delegate out, right? Things that you don't like doing. Do the same thing in your personal life too.
Do the to-do list.
Right.
Mhm.
And it can be as simple as, hey, I took stock of everything. Go talk to your partner. I would really like to not do this anymore. It's too
Right.
taxing on me, right? That's what a true partnership is sharing the load. So if one person is doing everything, how is that fair?
Right.
Right. And oftentimes it's self-imposed. It's women taking it on themselves.
Oh, I
Oh,
can
yeah.
do that. No, 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 no,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah,
I can do that.
exactly.
And thinking to yourself, I did it recently and I did a good job of, oh, I can take it, but I didn't have all the pressures around me today that I had when I
Mhm.
did it yesterday. And it's a different time. Timing may be
Absolutely.
quite different. So, what's happening beneath the surface, much like in a physical sense, too,
Right.
can be emanating from within. And
Yeah.
that leads then to exhaustion.
Right, absolutely. And it's not even just exhaustion, it's also overextension, right? And
Mhm.
burnout and all of these things that you hear people talk about yet nobody really understands. So it's more like at what point does that strength and responsibility start turning into burnout and overextension? And it usually happens when the structure around your life hasn't evolved with your level of responsibility. right? You're still operating like the person who has to manage every detail instead of the leader who designs the system. And when that happens, growth actually creates more pressure instead of more freedom. You start feeling like no matter how much you accomplish, there's always more weight to carry. It's kind of like chasing perfectionism, right?
Mhm.
Perfection cannot be attained, yet we act like it can. And that leads to burnout and overextension because you're always chasing perfection. And that's
Right.
when burnout really begins because not because you're weak, right? But because the structure of your life or business is no longer supporting you in the way that you need.
So here I am in business and this is resonating with me. I've got a whole bunch of stuff lined up for the next couple of months. And I really wanted to put it in place because I got a whole bunch of travel ahead
Mhm.
of me the next couple of months too. So I'm trying to think forward. And I know I'm delegating to other people. And I'm concerned that I don't right now feel the balance.
Right.
And as I was driving around today, I thought to myself, I think I need to step back a little bit. I need to pull back, as my mother used to say, her and her friend
Right.
at work, pull back a little bit. I think
Mhm.
I need to pull back a little bit here, Desi.
Right. Right. And I mean, it's such great presence, Barbara. Oftentimes, what I help women do in redefining their leadership in a way that supports them instead of draining it, right, is leadership has to move from holding everything together to designing systems that support the growth, right? And it's not creating a million different things at once because, again, you're going to be pulling yourself in a million different directions. Yet focusing and mastering one thing at a time will lead to momentum and growth in a sustainable way, meaning your energy is sustained. Your peace of mind is sustained, right? One important thing here is real leadership isn't about being everywhere and doing everything. It's about creating that clarity. It's about building structure and surrounding yourself with the right support. And when those elements come together, leadership stops feeling like pressure and starts feeling like momentum. And that's when women begin leading as visionaries instead of operators, right?
That's powerful because I think oftentimes there's sometimes confusion between leading your business and managing your business, right?
Right.
And when you're really looking to elevate and have that growth moment and those stretch opportunities for you as the leader and the visionary with your
Yeah.
business, you really can't be bogged down by the smaller nuances. The better advice I received early in my journey was let the people who are really good at the things I'm not good at go do those things. I should
Yes.
only be focused on the activities that require my direct input that no one else can do for me but me, right? I was so busy
Right.
trying to manage my social media, come up with email copy, do this. And guess what? There were other people who are going to be far better at it, far quicker at it, and much more
Oh my God.
impactful.
Yeah.
And if I can
Right.
be out doing anything, creating the message, the impact, right? All those things allow it to flow. Of course, and everything you're doing to stimulate the economy and things of that nature, right?
Right.
But I think sometimes we as women, whether in business or not, whatever we're doing, we take on all these additional roles, these tasks, this level of busy work, right? Because that make us feel needed sometimes, right?
Right.
That we have to do that. And once we're willing to maybe sometimes really lean into, well, why do I always need to feel needed? Right? Because
Right.
that's the deeper thing under there. Why am I
Absolutely.
unwilling to let go of some
Right.
things? Right?
Right. And oftentimes that points to Quincy. I love that you brought this up. Oftentimes it points to a story that you're holding from early childhood.
Mhm.
Usually, I mean, like
Damn
for
those
me,
early childhoods.
I know, right? For me, I determined my story that I was carrying was from when I was 5, right? I was put in this place of not being enough. That was my
Mhm,
story. So everything I did revolved around becoming enough.
mhm.
Yet the funny thing is, it's never enough, right? So you're going to grind yourself into the ground trying to accomplish a story. And now that I've dealt with that story and rewritten that story, I am very much more present to who I am in alignment and who I show up to be in the world and for everyone else that needs that support, right? And I have a tool too, like a step that you can take.
We love
And
practical steps here.
I love practical steps. Steps are so good. And I love action takers, right? I
Yes.
mean, the biggest piece of making a change is taking action.
Oh, yeah.
So the step that I would say is pause long enough to ask yourself one honest question. Where in my life am I carrying more than is actually mine to hold?
Mm.
And then look for one place where you can create support, space, or structure. And again, that's pointing to bringing in your family and your friends, your kids, your partner, hiring someone to do something, even on the personal side, right? Say you need help with the kids, hire a nanny or a
Yep.
tutor. I mean, depending on if you're homeschooling, which I do, right? But, and it doesn't have to be a huge change, yet even the smallest shift will begin to move you out of that homeostasis and begin shifting things to catch up with that alignment.
I love that, Desi. And it makes me think of a book that I was reading that I had a mentor give to me. A couple books. I'm a reader, but it's
Girl, me and
called
you both.
Right. It's called Unstuck by Jennifer Huff. And it's sort of the metaphysics of like getting out of your own way. And one of the
Right.
things that she talks about is sometimes we're very happy to carry the load of for others, right?
Right.
But in doing so, you're also saying to the universe and to them indirectly that you don't trust them enough to carry their own load. And when I really thought about that, I was just like, well, geez, I may really be thinking of that. I'm just taking on, I'll do it, right? It's fine, all that sort of things. But it's like, well, why won't I give them the opportunity to show up and demonstrate that they're able to do it? Why have
Right.
I judged and made the decision that they're unable to? How selfish of
Right.
me, right?
Right. It is a little bit of a selfishness. And absolutely, I mean, creating and holding the space for your family to step up and do something.
That's a
Oftentimes,
tough one.
it
Ladies,
is
that's
a
a
tough
tough
one.
one because, I'm sitting here listening to you all, and I can tell you I have taken out the trash and I've been in many living situations since a young girl. I've taken it out the trash more, used to take care of the snow more than, used to take care of all the common area space like
Mm-hmm.
my whole life. And for
Right.
me to expect somebody to pick that up at this late stage of the game, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, right.
Right, right. But oftentimes I think what's even deeper than that is aside from creating the space for someone else to step up and do something, silently though, you don't know how you're affecting them. You don't know if you're beating them down and saying you're not
Hmm.
good enough,
Mm-hmm.
Good
right?
point. Good point.
Yeah.
But if they
Yeah.
don't speak up, if you have those, we were talking about this silence. If
Mm-hmm.
you have somebody who's silenced, when do they man up? When do they become an
Right.
adult and speak up? Because if you don't hear it, how do you know it?
Right.
Or
Yeah, go ahead, Quincy.
Because Barbara and I, we love to go back and forth. I think that's one of the beauty
Mhm.
in our relationships is if they're not they maybe are not one to speak up, when do you ask and say, hey, I would love your assistance with this?
Yeah, and I think that points to staying present to not only
Mm-hmm.
yourself and your alignment, but also staying present to everyone else around you and truly listening to them,
Yeah.
right? Because a lot of the times listening doesn't play a big enough role. Like people will say they're listening, but they're not really listening. They're not hearing the undercurrent.
I don't
And
know if it's that they're not listening or they
right,
don't have the empathy or caring that's an important component.
Fair.
right,
Especially when you're in the workspace together or you're in a living space together. If they don't have those same elements, if you don't share those common core beliefs, traits, values, integrity, whatever it happens to be,
100%.
tenacity, then it's a lot of shifting going on.
right, right. And I think what we're having a conversation around too, what stands out to me in this conversation is that a lot of times people will stay silent until they can't take it anymore and it blows up and it
Oh yeah.
becomes
Then
something
there's that
so much
overreaction.
bigger than what it needed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just setting the expectation of having clear, open communication and no matter what relationship you have. Like I give my team permission to call me out on things I'm messing up on because I'm like, hey, I get blinders. I know I get blinders and I trust you in your lane to give me the feedback that I need to make accurate decisions, right? The expectation and setting that standard of having an open communication and
Going
maintain.
from pressures to alignment.
Mm-hmm.
Those pressures, whatever they happen to be. Yes.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
like that.
absolutely.
So, Desi, what would you say, what tends to shift for the woman when they realize they don't have to carry everything alone?
That's such a good question. Well, one I would say is why so many capable women end up becoming that person who holds everything together. My biggest takeaway here is because capability attracts responsibility, right?
Yeah.
When you're someone who naturally sees solutions, people start leaning on you. And at first it feels good, right? It feels like leadership. And over time, it quietly turns into that pattern where you become the container for everything. There's also a deeper layer there for many women where we've learned that being dependable is part of our identity. And we want to support people. We want things to work. We want everyone to succeed. The challenge here, though, is when that responsibility becomes so constant that there's no room left for you. And you are the biggest factor in this equation. And I would say it tends to shift, Quincy, circling back to your question, what tends to shift when women realize they don't have to do everything alone here? That first shift is emotional relief. There's this moment, and I've experienced this moment, holding that space in that container for others, where they realize they've been carrying responsibility that was never meant to be held by one person. Then that clarity starts to return. When you're not constantly managing everything, you can think again, you can see opportunities again, you can lead again, you can have fun again, right? And what's fascinating is that the business or the work actually grows better when the leader stops trying to hold every piece together.
Yeah, be more flexible because
Yeah.
otherwise you're rigid and it reeks out. It just does. It leaches out of your pores. What's one truth that you would say for high achieving women? Because a lot of women, even if they're not maybe corporate leaders or solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, whatever, they're high achieving by their own rights. What would be one thing that you would want women to understand about both strength and success?
Right. Oh, I love this question. Strength doesn't have to mean carrying everything alone. High achieving women often build lives where they are the foundation for everyone else. Yet sustainable leadership comes when you allow yourself to receive support, create the clarity, and build the structures that allow you to lead within that constant pressure. I'm saying without that constant pressure, right? We're trying to eliminate the pressure. And the first step is recognizing where you may be holding more than you were ever meant to carry. And I think the biggest thing here is it's a snowball effect. Like you'll start by saying yes to one thing and then you start saying yes to everything. And then it snowballs into being overwhelming.
I think there's a podcaster out there who talks about letting it go. Mel Robbins. And that just like shot in my head as you talked about that, where she's like this, let it go, let it go.
Yeah. And let
To
them
the point
theory.
of
I bought the
almost ad
book.
nauseam. But yeah, you do have to let certain things go. And that's something that it can be rather difficult.
It can be, absolutely. Especially when you're like me, I was holding things for 25 years before I let it go. Right?
Wow.
And you cannot.
I think she says let them. I think she says let them. And
Let
I
them.
said
Right.
but
Right.
let it go applies to what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, she's saying let them.
What was it? Let it go. That's Elsa, isn't it?
Yes, it is Elsa. My daughter's favorite movie is Frozen.
Yes.
Right. And I think you won't ever truly understand about the shifts that you can achieve for yourself that leads to more stable, sustainable, freeing life and business unless you actually do the work. Right. And I think that's the biggest misconception about personal growth and development space is that it's not a one and done thing. It's tools that you add to your tool belt. And, your tool belt to call on when life happens because life will continue to happen. These stories will pop back up. And you have to, at that point, you have the tools to get yourself back into harmony. And I think that that's one of the biggest stigmas that I work against is that it's not a one and done. It's a forever working on yourself.
Yes.
It's like having that argument about people doing their laundry. It's their laundry day. And they're supposed to finish their laundry. And you have that argument over and over and over again. There are some things that you just keep rinsing and repeating.
Right.
This conversation is really a powerful reminder that strength doesn't have to mean carrying everything alone, as you basically just said, Desi. And I think Quincy and I both agree with that. And that true leadership is not about doing more, delegating that out, hiring an assistant, whatever it happens to be. A family member you mentioned, I bet a lot of us don't even ask our family members to help us in our
my
business.
mom works with me, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is really cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You mentioned about asking them early on. Why not just ask them, can you pick up the dishes? Can you do this task? Can you take out the trash tonight? They're picking it up tomorrow. A lot of us, we just like go in silence and carry that. And you talked
Mhm.
about how it builds up and then that pressure. And
Yeah.
then we're looking for a release valve. And sometimes it's not very pretty.
It's
In my
not.
experience, it's not.
And I can tell you too, what's scary about that as well is when we don't stay like open ourselves to asking the question, right? Is because then we open ourselves to the no and to the
Mm.
rejection. So
Yep.
guess what? It's easier for me just to do the thing than ever risk the rejection.
Right. Right.
And that can be
Yet
tough.
in that action, you're also sacrificing yourself.
Absolutely. Right. But
Yeah.
then I feel as though I'm doing it on my own terms, and you didn't get to do it to me. I did it
Right.
to myself. Right.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Oh, wow. I would tell to our listeners, especially, if you are seeing or feeling yourself in this conversation, I absolutely recommend that you take a moment and truly ask yourself, what are you carrying that is truly yours to hold on to? But what are some things that maybe you can take off and return to the person who it belongs to? And if you're not sure, then maybe you get with someone who can help you with either delegation or just inquiring, hey, letting them know my load has changed. Can we talk about how we're divvying up responsibilities right now?
Absolutely.
Excellent. Excellent. Desi, where can our listeners get in contact with you if they would like to learn more about your catalyst and the framework and everything that you have to offer them?
Yeah, I invite you. Hop on a call with me because it's
Mhm.
always fun, right? We have fun in everything we do. If you're not having fun, what are you doing it for? Hopping on a call with me is super easy. It's talkwithdesi.com. Super
Oh,
easy.
look at that.
I
That's
love that.
awesome.
That's pretty cool. So,
Yeah.
here at Optimize Her², one of our main objectives, and also we carry this through in both WOW, Women Optimizing Women, and also with the experience coaching. I celebrate women's wellness. I think Spark is the premier centerpiece in Quincy's life. And here at Optimize Her², we bring them together to educate, elevate, and empower women. And there's a
Mhm.
lot of men. I understand our analytics are saying 63% of our viewers, and we are growing in viewership. So thank you to all of the people who have played an important role in that, our past speakers from sharing that with their associates and posting it on their social media. That's very helpful. But it's about that education, elevation, empowering women, and also you men. 63% of our viewers are female, meaning 37% of you all are male. Thank you all so much for joining us. I think ladies like Desi,
Mhm.
Quincy, and myself, we want to bring information that's authentic to you. We want you to learn about yourself. It's not just about business every day because it's about you and self, because that is an interesting and important part of how you're living your life. And when you forget you, when that pressure valve goes to a point of, letting off that horrible steam,
Yep.
Yep.
and like I said, it's not pretty at the end of the day. We want you to learn more about yourself and contacting ladies like Desi for help. Like she said, she'll make it a fun experience for you. I can guarantee you firsthand experience. She's been very helpful to me, much like Quincy here at Optimize Her² and in our world together that we share. Thank you again for joining us, all of you at Optimize Her². We look forward to seeing you again on the first and third Tuesdays of each month at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll be going to some live performances back again with Quincy and I in 2026. Look out for us at Optimize Her² on YouTube. Stay well.